Hello and welcome to Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Sked and I'm joined by Craig Cairns. Craig, this is the first time that we will get to speak about a Heart of Midlothian victory. How does that feel?
A little bit perturbed that I wasn't there. I don't know if that means anything. I hope it continues and I get to see a win in the flesh soon. But yeah, it was such a relief. It really was, because we'll come into it in more detail, I'm sure. But there was large parts of that second half where you were just thinking, I mean, a draw is probably the best we're going to get at this point. I know they threatened very rarely themselves, but we didn't look like we were going to create too much in that. Throughout the whole game, actually, nothing that clear cut. But yeah, it was a real relief, and it was nice watching back the highlights and the game this morning. First of all, I watched the winning goal back, and the roar that went up, the cheer that went up, it sounded like there actually were away fans in the ground, and you get a faint cheer of, like, you know what I mean, like 50 to 100 fans or something, because it must have been all the Hearts staff and that.
There was
Relief, basically.
Yeah. So there were. I'm trying to think of how many people were in the stand. Everyone was basically in the same stand, so it was hard to count. But you had so Dinamo Minsk media staff. Dinamo Minsk staff, you had ground staff who were like, the guys that waved the Europa League or Conference League banner before the game. You had some media folk filming it, match officials, and then there's no Belarusian press because they don't get accreditation from UEFA, and there were some Hearts corporate kind of sponsors who were able to attend.
Right.
I think they had, and one of them was a pal, and I think they had enjoyed themselves with some alcohol during the day. So I think they were they were well oiled to enjoy that last minute winner and make a as much a racket as they could.
How was it for you, other than having to furiously rewrite everything deep into injury time, much like I had to do on Saturday?
Yeah, so I mean, for large parts, it was really frustrating because, as we'll come on to, the performance wasn't great at all, and I just thought it was a really poor quality game at times where, when you're watching, you knew that this was a great opportunity for Hearts because Dinamo Minsk didn't look that great. So it was frustrating, and I kind of, at one moment, I had resigned myself that this was just going to be another late defeat. Or another defeat, and something would go against us. And then I was like, no. As the game went on, I thought this is going to be a draw. I had everything written up, so it was weird. It was slightly unprofessional, and when the goal went in, I did celebrate. That's a tad bit that I wouldn't do normally, just because of the fact there's no fans there. So, but then I realised I need to drastically rewrite one of my points. Because there was a time constraint, because we always had to get to the airport as well for a flight back home. So it was there was a whole mix of feelings. So I didn't really it was surreal, but it didn't really sink in until I was kind of back to the airport, and I didn't have any kind of stress and finally seen Hearts win away from home in Europe. I think it was the 8th attempt maybe of games I've been to away from home, because I missed all of I was the only game I missed when the last time we were in the groups was the Riga game, which of course we won. So I've been a real bad luck charm, but no, it was a really good experience, and very, very grateful to be there. It was like I said, it was a really interesting experience, but a privilege nonetheless.
I have a 100% record. Bordeaux.
Oh, do you? Oh, Bordeaux, there we go.
I really should have been more since, but work and living elsewhere and things like that means that it hasn't been as readily available to me as I would have liked. But yeah, if I could have picked one, it's one of the best ones I could have picked, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I think the people, a lot of the people I speak to have been at kind of the away games since Bordeaux. Seems like Bordeaux was the best, was the pinnacle. And he includes like Ball and that, and I know Riga was really special for a lot of people as well. Just again, not off a lot of success away from home in Europe, but yeah, Bordeaux. I still remember watching it on the TV, and the celebrations in the house. So yeah, you definitely did pick well. I will interject with a message from our sponsors. When I say a message from our sponsors, it's me reading out the message. And it's Good Vibes Giveaways are proud to sponsor Heart Standard and offer fantastic prizes to fans of the club. Prizes change weekly and include tech, gadgets, days out, weekends away, tax-free cash, and even OASIS tickets. Get your tickets now at www.goodvibesgiveaways.com and enter for your chance to spread the good vibes. Sunglasses emojis. But the good thing is we've got at least two other opportunities in Bruges and Bordeaux Bruges and Copenhagen to add to that success. But before we get that, we will obviously digest this performance. So I suppose because it's a win, I kind of calculated that it's the first win we've been able to speak about at Heart Standard in 143 days. That was the last time James and I did a video talking of a win. It's been 140, so it was 143 days ago, 145 days since Hearts last won a game, and that was against Dundee. So
this and we've now been ahead for 1 minute and 42 seconds of this season.
Remarkable. I know, remarkable. It's we did manage to score another first half goal, but yeah, still it took until deep in the stoppage time to be ahead in a match. So let's hopefully that time increases as the season progresses. But let's make this as positive as we can be, but also let's get the negatives out the way first. So what kind of stood out for you in terms of what you didn't like to see? What didn't impress you?
I thought we struggled on the right-hand side a bit. I think Forrester had a bit more of a tough time than he did against Ross County. That's to be expected. You're going to have swings in form, but he didn't. At no point did he let it get to him, or he didn't have a howler or anything like that. He still went on to have a decent game. I just think that right-hand side, you could see there was times he was quite comfortable playing as an inverted fullback. I feel like we did play exclusively with inverted fullbacks last night. I think Penrice did have a bit more of a tendency to go to overlap with Mackay always coming in on his right. And I think more in the second half, you saw Penrice attack the left side a bit more. But yeah, there was something just not really clicking on that side. I think we got some moderate success on that side, but I also think that the chemistry wasn't great there. And listen, it's the first time those two have played together on any side. Forrest played on the left and Saturday's moved out there. It's a new manager, so you don't expect things to click instantly or anything like that. But yeah, I thought and for the goal as well, because I think Forrester gets caught out of position but recovers well with a header, and then Forrest loses the 50-50, they win a throw, and then Forrest doesn't track his man. So yeah, we had a few problems there, and it was another game. For large parts, it was another game where they stopped Shankland from getting into dangerous positions, other than a few occasions. And we didn't really have anybody else stepping up to score a goal or to be a threat. So I suppose those were the two main negatives. But just to kind of, I don't know, we were in this situation where we just needed a win from anywhere. We've been needing it for 4 or 5 weeks now, just anything to happen. We needed Shankland to get a goal out of anywhere. That happened. We needed a win just out of absolutely anywhere. We got a bit of luck with that own goal. It's gone against us in quite a lot of games. That I said in the piece that I wrote that it's reminiscent of that Gerald Taylor one, where it's unchallenged and it can just kind of, do you know what I mean? It can just kind of, one of those ones where it can just kind of go anywhere.
Yeah.
And we don't play well and we win, and that's contrary to Ross County, where we played quite well and we played a lot better and we didn't win. So yeah, even though there was a couple of negatives and overall we didn't play well, I think that the main thing is just that we got a win. We finally got a win.
Sorry, I should have muted myself. I've got a persistent cough that just won't go away. But yes, we'll bounce off that very shortly in terms of the need for a win and just getting that monkey off the back. I agree with the kind of negatives you pointed out. I just thought the performance in general was again too slow at times. It was too pedestrian, and then there was times where it was just really clunky and messy. Some of the passes weren't great. Some of the final balls or set pieces were just weren't great. I know you mentioned in your piece about just how Hearts have been scoring a lot of their goals. There's not many.
It's a very small sample.
Very small sample, but yeah, from set pieces. But yeah, it was a frustrating watch just because of like how many times it just felt disjointed or misplaced, and I just had that feeling that I've had all season is when when Hearts have attacked and lost the ball, been vulnerable. Really noticed it at Falkirk, and there was elements to that again last night where Dinamo Minsk, if a team can attack directly with pace when they win the ball against Hearts, they will create good opportunities. I thought some players kind of stood up to that defensively really well. But another thing you said was the attack, someone stepping up to Lauren Shanklin. I wrote about it in the predicted lineup where I got it slightly wrong, but I kind of spoke that you needed guys to take the opportunity, because you can argue that some players not been given a run to build up momentum, but at the same time, when people have been given an opportunity, they have really not taken it. And I'm looking at, for example, Barry Mackay and Alan Forrest last night. I was really unimpressed with both, kind of for different reasons. Like Mackay, he tried to force it early on, and then just it's kind of similar. What happens with Mackay is that he just starts to play on the periphery, and you just don't notice him. Whereas Forrest, just so much endeavour, but last year he's so much endeavour, but I just don't think at times he had that consistent productivity or end ball or piece of quality there. And I thought it was really good last season in terms of how much he progressed and improved on the previous campaign. But I also thought this campaign was going to be him kind of regressing to more of a squad player role. But at the moment, it just feels a lot of players are just squad players. No one's really stepped up and go, right, this is my spot in the team. I think you can count on a couple of 2 or 3 fingers of people who have done that. Ian W mentions one who will come on to talk about. But yeah, I think that was the biggest disappointment, is that just how clunky we were, how poor we were as a kind of attacking unit. Because up until I think the goal, our expected goals were again really low from I think it was 9 shots. That needs to improve. That definitely needs to improve if we want to win more games.
No, I agree. And because I messaged you a minute into the game. It was literally a minute into the game, because we didn't know much about this team. We held our hands up and said we tried to do as much research as we could, and it wasn't that easy to find out or to gauge the level of team that we were getting ourselves putting ourselves up against. But I messaged you pretty much exactly a minute into the game saying we're winning this. That came back to bite me, because we did what we've done a lot this season, where we dominate a lot of the ball, we don't create, and then we concede a poor goal. But you could tell right away we were better than them. That we suspected it going in that we were a better team than them, and we were better. And I think that showed through in the end, because we showed that quality in the end of the game where it mattered. And I think part of that were the changes. I think you're talking about Mackay and Forrest there, just to lead on from that. We got better when they came off. I don't think it's necessarily a case of saying you start Danda and Vargas and we've got that game won by 60 minutes or anything like that. But I think at that moment in the game, they gave us the impetus we needed to create chances, create that sustained pressure towards the end that eventually sustained pressure. It was like a minute and a half or something that eventually got us the goal. But Spittle, I thought Spittle had a poor game until Danda and who was it came on with Danda, because Vargas came on the first sub.
Dan and Grant.
Danda and Grant, that was it. Grant was very good when he came on as well, not just for the goal. Like, he was getting into good positions, like what he was trying against County, but more success. But the game had opened up a bit more at that point. So they were maybe the right players to bring on at that point. But Spittle came to life all of a sudden. Spittle had all this energy and running in front of him now. And the pass that he plays doesn't lead to the goal, it leads to an attack, which then they put out for a throw, and then we eventually score. But that pass is unbelievable in between two midfielders. He's got like a very narrow corridor to put that through, and it's an excellent pass. And it's what we've not seen enough of Spittle. He's one of the ones that has shown some flashes here and there, but he's had a fair amount of chances. But I suppose, long story short, the changes really kicked us into gear. And while we weren't absolutely quality for the last 15 minutes, it gave us enough to win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And to provide further context to your message, so it was 1746. We were winning this. 1806. Maybe not. Fucking typical. Dominate and concede.
Dominate in the sense of have the ball a lot, not like dominate as in like knocking the door down or anything. Knocking on the door, sorry.
But I think that articulated a lot of Heart's thoughts from those first 20 minutes. I was just reading the comments. NC Network: how do Hearts deal with teams who have a lot of pace in the press up front? I wish I knew an answer to this. In terms of, do you mean? Is that
when Hearts have the ball in defence and they're being pressed? Is that what it means?
Yeah, so that's I'm just working out. I thought it was about more of how Hearts deal with teams who have a lot of pace. That when teams counter attack on them. But the issue is I think Hearts don't have a lot of pace themselves.
Well, they've been playing it in a slightly risky way, as we kind of pointed out in the last video from the Ross County game, and it was a similar setup, similar approach. And the two number 8s are quite attacking, and it leaves Beningame on his own, and it is fairly risky. But at the same time, you have. I think he clearly wants Forrester and Penrice, or whoever the fullbacks are, to come in and play as like sort of extra kind of defensive midfielders there when they have the ball. So I think you can see. I don't know. So see how we were talking about on Saturday with Penrice and not Penrice, Kingsley and Forrester, how it looked like they were doing a bit of going out the side, a bit of kind of being inverted. I wonder if that was just like by design, or whether that was just, I don't know. Like with Penrice last night, for instance, he was doing it a lot less than, he was inverting a lot less than Forrester. But is that just because he's like coached a lot less in doing it and his natural instincts to do it? Or was it because Barry Mackay was kind of brought in? And I realise we're not answering the question here, but
no,
I think Ian Fox's approach anyway is to take that sort of risky approach, because he's gambling on those extra players in the final third coming up with the goods in an attacking sense. So he's willing to kind of take that risk. And you see how good Beningame can be at stopping those attacks. Yeah,
he had another couple before he went off edges last night in terms of preventing that. I just think, looking at that, the way they set up, I think it was just more natural, because Penrice is things at his best as a fullback, overlapping, and I just worked naturally with Mackay coming in, whereas Forrest is someone who preferably stays wide, and then that gives Forrester more opportunity to underlap and get into the middle of the pitch. I think I think Barry Mackay and Alan Forrest have a fair amount to do to win, get their spot back, get a regular spot, I should say, in the starting 11. And again, it'll be very interesting when the manager comes in and how he views the Hearts' attacking options. But that is for a later date. And like you said, the changes were a big positive. We'll talk about the win, what it means in general. I wanted to pinpoint Frankie Kent, and I'll bring in a comment here from Ian W. Frankie Kent seems to be captain and all but name. New manager to give him that armband. Sorry, choking. Should give him the armband. Fantastic player, and I'm guessing Ian means leader. And yeah, he is, and that's something that really stood out. I thought his performance as a footballer or as a defender was excellent last night. There was, especially in the second half, he blocked a shot with his face. He blocked another shot late on with his leg, and there was a great cross a couple of minutes before the one he blocked with his face. There was a great cross into the 6-yard box, and it looked like Alfred, I think it was about to get in the end of it. Kent comes from the other side of him, puts in a great challenge and gets it away. It was just a really, really strong defensive performance. And that's what it was. It was a leading performance as well, because you really noticed it without the fans. He spoke from the first kick of the ball to the last kick of the ball. And it's just, there's a lot of the stuff you'd hear at Sunday football, like demanding players win their second balls. It's constantly telling the players to get into their shape. But there's some really interesting. There was also some helpful advice as well, tactical advice that he saw. And he's asked a player to, he's asked in Shanklin to take up a specific position when Hearts don't have the ball. He's really encouraging, but he's also quite demanding as well. And there was a time where the game was stopped, and him and Shanklin had a bit of a kind of to and fro. We spoke to Kent afterwards about it, this stuff that's going out on Sunday. But there was like no animosity in it. I think they're they're good mates off the park, but they're comfortable enough to give each other a bit of not a bit of stick, but just a bit of verbals. If they just don't feel if something's going right, they'll have a discussion, and will be can times be a wee bit heated. But that's what Kent's part in the team to do. Is he's there to organise and to lead and to speak. And both sides of his game was really, really impressive last night. And I thought Rolls as well did quite well alongside him. So he was probably he was a player that stood out for me the most, because I don't think in terms of individual performances, there were many who were sailing past with pass marks, let's see.
Yeah, I thought Beningame was good again. We've kind of already touched on what he done. I think it was both interesting and entirely I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, explicable why Macaulay Tate replaced him and not Boateng. I don't think it was like any kind of statement from Liam Fox or anything like that. I think Macaulay Tate will just give you something similar to what, more similar to what Beningame does than Boateng does, in his range of passing and how tenacious he is, and kind of putting himself about. So I think that was the reason he came on, and he seemed to slot in and do a kind of a similar job. I know there wasn't a long time for him to make an impact in the game, but I was impressed with him. But to go back to the question about leadership, I think when you want at least a couple of people on the pitch that are like that, don't you? You don't just want to have your captain and then everybody kind of subservient to the captain.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that I can understand why the question's being asked. Shankland maybe isn't your typical captain. You get different types of captains, don't you? And one of them is just the best player on the team, is naturally a leader, and it kind of leads by example that way, rather than organising and pointing and shouting and cajoling and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Kent's maybe more visibly doing that stuff, or is maybe better at that kind of stuff. So I can understand why the question's being asked, but I think I think
I'm not.
you want a few players like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't put massive amount of stock in the captain. The captain's armband. I think it's looking as a fan, I don't really mind who the captain of the team is, as long as it's not basically as long as it's not someone who's kind of disrespectful to the club or just doesn't really sit well. So as long as I don't think Kent or Shanklin are going to change if they've. I think probably Shanklin's grown into the role, but I don't think Kent will change whether he's got the armband or not.
He's had it a few times, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's had it. Obviously, Gordon will have it now if Shanklin's not there.
No.
Clark's had it a couple of times. Kent had it a couple of times as well. Just when if someone's gone off for not being available. I'm glad you actually brought up Macaulay Tate. I think that was. Because that was an interesting one with Boateng, and he wasn't in the squad on Saturday there, and we've seen that he's been pretty good. He's been one of the better players this season. Again, that's not a massive amount of praise, just because of the nature of the performances. But one thing we obviously saw against Broomhill, we went to watch it, and we've seen it with the B team this season. Macaulay Tate has played under Liam Fox this season. I think Liam Fox probably trusts Tate more than he does Boateng, just because he knows him and he knows his qualities and the way that Liam Fox wants his number 6 to play. Benny is the best in the team at that. But if he's going to need someone just to come in there and fill in that role and just perform it the way he wants, he's probably just looking at that and thinking, Tate, I have more trust in Tate, someone I know, and someone who does that role for me in the B team and knows exactly what I want from it. So yeah, that's when you break it down, don't think it's overly surprising to have seen him come on late on. And yeah, it was again a really good moment for him. Was there any other aspects of the performance or individuals?
Yes. I noticed that we've just glossed over him as well, but I noticed that in the Q&A, the question to Liam Fox was a word on Yandanda, and he didn't refer to Yandanda once in the answer. So let's give Yandanda some praise, because he was the one player we really mentioned in the sort of 10 minutes on the end of the last video that became instantly dated when we knew the team just ahead of kickoff. And we were kind of asking or raising again, like we have a few times, that he seems to be the one guy who's not really had an opportunity or had a proper run in the team. And his first touch intercepted a pass and launched that attack that Shanklin ends up in the box and it doesn't quite catch it right. And for a minute and a half before the goal, I think it is, he's winning the ball on the edge of his own half and then starts that counter-attack, which I was talking about Spittle's pass earlier. That's part of that period of the play. And he's there to nod it in. I wonder if, again, going back to hearing the shouts on the pitch, I wonder whether he was just going to turn anyway at that point, or whether he turns because he hears the shout of Jan. But yeah, it was great to watch back this morning, and the joy in the celebration of. I mean, it must be not only like a collective relief, but just like there must be a lot of personal relief there for Jan Danda.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's probably has been frustration that he's not been able to get a solid run of games, especially as a number 10. I think he's played. He started as a number on the right, the left, and I think as just one game as number 10 in the 3 games that he started. And that's something I know. It's something you mentioned. You mentioned towards the end of your piece when you looked about the build up for the goal and the shout of Jan, and that's something I've been writing this afternoon on our way back from Baku, just kind of breaking that down further, just because of. Again, I'm probably overshadowing Danda. I'm focusing on Shanklin and just his role in it.
Involvement's brilliant. It's really brilliant. Talk about being a captain. I mean, that's leadership there.
So good. I mean, we've seen how often he pulls on the back post when the ball's on the other side, and the fact that in that time between Grant sweeping the ball over and before it's even hit Shanklin's head, he's kind of looked at the situation and been so aware and seen what he's done. And,
and it's not as if he's the quickest player. So it's like that's That's quick reaction. That's
Yeah.
football intelligence.
Exactly, and yeah, it was really impressive. Again, and like I said, Danda does really well to direct it direct it to the back of the net, and the scenes at the end. I think Danda was quite surprised. Like initially, he wasn't sure if he knew how to celebrate or who to celebrate with, but no, it was it was absolutely brilliant, and that gave us the first win of the season. And like you said, first time we've been leading all season. So we'll finish up with kind of two questions. Firstly, what the win means for Europe. I think it could be massive. The difference between starting with a point against a team who are technically a lower seed than you, or picking up 3 points, especially in an away game to kickstart the season, kickstart the Conference League phase. Now you're looking at 4 points from the next 5 games, which includes Petrol Cup at home, Ammonia at home, and you're thinking this is doable, and we could have knockout football after Christmas, and it's remarkable to say that because we've just won our first game of the season, and it was the 3rd of October.
Yeah, we're at 45% of the way there or something like that, and we have a very winnable home game as well, which would put us... Which, if we were to win that could potentially qualify us, or that and a point elsewhere. It will likely be enough, actually. Yes. 7 will likely be enough. So, yeah, it's a fantastic start. It's unbelievable. I mean, I know we could be sitting here all doom and gloom again on Monday if we're still bottom of the table, or in a few weeks' time if it's still not picked up in the league. But certainly putting all that to the side at the moment, it's a huge thing. I mean, just think of the mentality of Hearts fans before this game, and now potentially 4 points away from being in knockout European football after Christmas, such as the format of this tournament now. So, it's a massive positive, and you can only hope that gets harnessed and taken into the league form, because that drastically needs to improve. But at least we've seen a game where we didn't play we played quite well in, and looked like we weren't going to get anything for a long time, and rescued it at the end. And that game had played out various times earlier in the season, and we hadn't got anything from the game. And then we haven't played well, and we've fought to the end, and still managed to get over the line and get a win. So there's momentum there to harness. I know I was saying I was clutching at straws about the Shanklin's goal against Ross County, but that's the position that we're in. We have to try and harness all these little positives, and we're moving in the right direction now. We're 2 unbeaten, so bring on Aberdeen.
Exactly, and we move on to Aberdeen on Sunday at Pittodrie. This win could and perhaps should be pivotal in the direction of the season, because the team go there with a completely different mindset. The fan base, who have already sold out the away allocation before this game, go there with a completely different mindset. One thing is that win on Thursday doesn't make everything perfect. There is still a hell of a lot of work and improvement required for that win to be followed by more wins. But
we're still a team that struggles to score goals. Regardless of the last 2 matches, we're still a team that struggles to score goals.
Yeah, exactly. And it struggled to put in a performance for 90 minutes. But what that win could do for the intangibles, that are like confidence and mindset, could be transformational. And that
Shanklin getting off the mark, that's huge, because he's our one source of goals.
Danda getting off the mark. There's just someone else chipping in as well. It's huge. And I mean, these words seem quite grandiose, but I think it's genuinely the case because of how poor the team have been, how long the winless runs been. That this win should be the catalyst for something to build on ahead going into the rest of the season. That it kind of puts that we're able to then put the last 10 games behind us, and to kind of now more, especially with a potential new manager coming in during the international break.
Yeah. Although I was looking at the fixtures today, and their fixtures after Europe are not kind. One of them's
No, they're
Hibs.
terrible, aren't they?
One of them's Aberdeen at home. So
Yep.
Aberdeen away on Sunday. So yeah, the
Away at
fixture list
Hibs,
has not been
away at
kind to us.
Rangers. Yeah.
Away to Rangers as well. Aye.
Yeah, it was away at Hibs, away at Rangers. I think away at Killie at one point as well. I think the easiest, the only one we've got that the only fixture after Europe that we've got where you think that should be 3 points quite comfortably is home at St Johnstone, and that's right at the end.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean the Rangers one's probably just as well because we never win there anyway. We never get a result there, it seems. So probably just as well having that one after Europe. But the other ones that are otherwise winnable, it's a bit unfortunate that it's those games.
So just quickly on Aberdeen, have you seen much of them? What have you made of them, and what do you think will happen on Saturday? I.e., prediction.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Right. Did you say Saturday, or did you say it wrong, or did I pick you up wrong?
I probably said it wrong. I probably said Saturday. So sorry, Sunday. So what have you made of Aberdeen so far, and what do you expect to happen on Sunday? I.e., kind of prediction.
I mean, but it's hard not to be impressed with Aberdeen. I think that it's easy to say that they've not played many good teams yet. I think that's largely true, but still, I think you could pick a set of 11, 12 fixtures and it's be difficult. You know what I mean? You could handpick 12 fixtures and it'd be difficult to win them all. So it's certainly an impressive start to the season. I think they'll fall away. I don't think they're going to be challenging the top two, bothering the top two in the long run. But yeah, it's a game that I was certainly more worried about before Thursday night. I know that Thursday night doesn't change a huge amount in terms of we've just discussed it wasn't a great performance and all that kind of stuff, but in terms of the confidence that we can take from it, I think we'll probably give a better fist of it than I was expecting before the Minsk game. But yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to see past an Aberdeen win. Really, they're firing all over. They've recruited really well. They've signed one of the better goalkeepers in the league, and he's continued that form from last season. He's getting a tune out of defenders that previous managers weren't in recent times, and guys like Nilsson has come in and transformed that midfield, giving Shinnie a bit more license. McGrath is having some of the best form he's had at Aberdeen, and who was the other guy I was going to just mention? Another signing, Kiskinen, is it? He is only kind of finding his feet. He's been signed a bit later than the other guys, but he's contributing, including in the last game as well. And they were much like us last season in that they were very reliant on one player to score a lot of goals. They sold him. They knew he was going, so they started the season needing a plan without him, and they have adapted to that really well. And they've had goals from all over the pitch. So yeah, it's difficult to see past an Aberdeen win, but at the same time, this run's got to come to an end at some point. They're not going to go unbeaten the entire season. So, Moon Hearts.
I agree. I agree with a lot of what you said. I watched them a couple of games earlier in the season, and I wasn't overly impressed with the nature of the performance. But I was also what was impressed with the fact that they got the job done and won, and it looks like they have improved stylistically. You look at what Jimmy Taylor's, I always pronounce his surname wrong, so apologies. But yeah, look at what he's done coming in, and or the club have done in general, and it ticks a lot of boxes. He's improved the guys that are already there. You mentioned a few, like Shaden Morris is another one who maybe not starts every week, but night and day in terms of what is contributing. Papi Gay he's been brilliant. A boost for Hearts. Obviously, he's out injured now. So I mean that just something like that could could trigger something in Aberdeen, and you begin to just like these wee negus can happen, and it could spiral. Really clutching at straws here, but then you look at these signings as well. He signed a lot from abroad, but they've started to come in and make an impact as well. He's got his message across, and he's won over the fans. So what they've done is they've ticked a lot of boxes. They could not have handpicked a better fixture list, but like you said, they had to then win those games, and they've done it, and they've improved, and that's what.
Lots of clean sheets.
Lots of clean sheets as well. So they've solidified the back line, and that's what Hearts probably I'm most wary of, is that it looks like they can only improve under Jimmy Taylor. But it's going to be really interesting, and I'm really intrigued to see what the starting 11 will be like and how Fox rotate, if he does rotate much after the game on Thursday night. But I agree with Jim here. Said great to get a win, but if we play like that Aberdeen are pulling our pants down, Barry Mackay's not our starter, and this might finally get Danda starting. I wonder if Fox wants to play this 4-3-3 with rather than a 4-2-3-1. I wonder if you do look at Danda playing off the left and playing that kind of Barry Mackay role where he drifts in, and then you have maybe Vargas wide on the right.
Exactly. I mean, we know that he wants to play with two natural wingers, and he's forced to an extent with not having enough in the squad. But yeah, if he's willing to have Barry Mackay as playing inverted on that side, then there's no reason why Danda can't do it. And he showed in the short time he was on the pitch on Thursday that he can. And I don't think Fox is the type of manager. He seems like quite methodical and things like that. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would necessarily pick on vibes and things like that. But I think that there will be changes just with the nature of the travel and the quick turnaround and all that kind of thing. And he will want Danda to be on a high and continue with that confidence and continue with where he left off in that game. And I don't just mean his goal, I mean his performance up to that point, because as you said, he played a minimal part in that goal. Even though he's the guy that gets the plaudits, he played a minimal part in it. It was what he did on the pitch before that was really, I can stop myself there, really of value. Of course, scoring the goal is the most important thing. Shut up, Craig. You know what I'm trying to say. I just didn't think the right words.
Yeah. I know what you mean. But yeah, for me, we'll finish up there. And you know what? Let's go 1-0 Hearts. First win since in Aberdeen since 2016. I think that was that's when Abiel O'Dowda scored that screamer from 2 yards.
So remember Egert Jonsson's
overhead kick?
Well, I was going to say overhead kick, but it was like he fell onto his back and put his leg in there. It was more of that. Some funny celebrations as well. Callum Elliott sprawled on the floor as well. So yeah, possibly, and maybe a VAR assisted penalty, because it's been a while since we were spoilt rotten with that last season. So maybe it's time for one of those.
Anything that would help us get our first win of the league season, hopefully jump off the bottom of the table while ending Aberdeen's winning run to start the season. But we'll be back later on, in the next couple of days, to discuss the game on Sunday. We both will be in attendance. I'll discuss details with you off air, Craig. We'll bore the listeners. But be sure to check heartstandard.co.uk. We have stuff from the game yesterday. Craig's done a good analysis piece from the game as well that's gone up on the site today. I'll have a couple more things going up over the next 24 hours. It includes Jan Danda talking about the goal, a wee bit on Shanklin's involvement in the goal, and a piece on just kind of like a diary of Baku and just some tidbits of stuff along the way over the past week that might be of interest to people before we look ahead to the Aberdeen game. So until then, have a really good weekend and goodbye.